Hi, I'm Liz, and this is my daughter Reagan.
And we have two green-winged macaws, Talullah and Winnie. Winnie is 3 and Talullah is 2.
Reagan wanted a macaw. She saw a macaw in the bird store. She was told by the person working in there, you can't have a macaw until you're at least a teenager. And so when Reagan turned 13,
Then, you looked into it.
found a breeder in Southern California who had green wings. Our understanding was that green wings were fairly nice, better for a family, so that's the direction we went.
And
I was a
also-
little jealous, I have to admit. She had a really good time with Winnie. I'm like, this bird is awesome. And I did not want to take her bird from her. We had the two green cheeks, and they, even though they're not bonded, they do chit chat and seem to keep each other company. And it seemed poor Winnie was by herself. And also, our breeder is a free flyer, and he flew them in pairs.
Very good.
I'm trying to show Dave what they do.
Most people have their birds clipped, and I don't think that's very good. So just they are birds and they're supposed to fly, so yeah.
I think health too. I mean, the health of the bird. They can't really exercise very well if they're clipped. We chose BirdTricks because I basically looked online for people that were free flying, and obviously I saw your videos and you had the whole gamut of birds, whether they're little birds to big birds, all being taught how to free fly. And we didn't have 6-month-old birds anymore, and so it's harder to find trainers willing to take on a bird that may be 2 or 3 years old, or even 1 year. I mean, Talullah, I guess, when we started the whole thing, was more like 8 or 9 months old. But even then, beyond the syringe feeding point and trying to free fly them, so much of what I saw in your videos just echoed everything I had already heard from the breeder and everybody else. Okay. So our journey started over a year and a half ago. And our first trip out did not go exactly as we planned. We thought we were ready, but we really weren't quite ready. And we had some good learning on the part of the birds. They did some good flying, but we also had some mistakes. And we learned a lot from that and realized where we had kind of slipped up. And that was our job for the intervening year in between that trip and this trip, where I think we really did a much better job of following directions and being much more intentional on what we were doing with the birds before taking them out again. I think for me, the biggest part of the in-home consult was that it made really clear that I was misreading motivation when I was flying Winnie and or Talullah. And so, you think that you've got it down, and then when you actually go out there, you're like, oh, I'm going to show you my bird flying. I'm like, oh, my bird's not flying. I really am not reading this bird correctly. I think that's kind of when the light switched for us, because then I realized, I'm like, oh, we really need to switch a few things around here that we did wrong previously. And that just because she'd fly to me doesn't mean she was really motivated. They were just doing it, but it was just kind of a rote thing. And particularly for Talullah, who's a little more neurotic, she had a lot of fears to overcome. And on top of that, then Dave also corrected some of my handling, which made a huge difference. You had mentioned that to me before, but just getting the handling exactly right with Talullah in particular, who's not as strong, made a huge difference on the recall for her.
Well, one of the things was Talullah was, it still is, really bonded to you. And so basically all of her motivation was just flying to you. And I think that was part of the problem with her perfect recall that we saw, because she wouldn't wait and she just wanted to get over to my mom. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we saw with Talullah when I switched, because she wouldn't fly to me.
That's when, Dave, you made me do perfect recall only with Talullah, and that made a huge difference. Because once I did only perfect recall, then her recall improved dramatically, right? Because it was one of those things where I couldn't understand why I couldn't get her to wait on the perch until I could get somewhere or turn around or whatever, and she'd fly to my back, she'd do silly things. And when we did perfect recall, we really noticed the difference even when we went down to like the barn or somewhere else to fly her. Like, oh, she's actually now waiting on the perch for me to go set or reset, and that was huge. That made a big difference. Winnie's really smart, and she figures everything out really quickly, and she figured me out before I figured me out, unfortunately. And so I really had to do that with her. And once I actually went to the batting cage, and like you said, we flipped birds, and I worked with Winnie and allowed her to fail, it cleaned it up a whole lot. Because I was making it hard for Reagan, because I was messing up.
We've been training them for like a little over a year. We started maybe in January, I think, of last year.
There we go, Jinxie. Day one. Day one of the flight trip. Look at everyone. Get everyone up there. Are we excited, Jinx? Woo! We're excited.
I like to start, when we're in Moab, I like to start here because the wind makes it easier for them to fly. Instead of all that weight being lifted by just their muscle, they have all this help. But the winds can also play as a disadvantage. And this is really important that the antenna's on before you power it up.
She's probably not going to.
How you doing, buddy? Don't worry, I'm not sticking my finger in that cage.
Okay.
Come check me out.
You did it?
Yep.
Nicely done.
Good job, guys.
Okay, so remember the wind direction? You're gonna go that way. You're gonna have a recall towards the sun.
Try to distract her from playing with that, though.
Okay, so I'll stand near if you want to go ahead and get set over here.
Do you want me to hold him
Right
again?
there's good. And when you think she's ready to fly, give her a call. If you're not getting a response, try doing just some... Okay, so the fact that she's circling, that's a good sign.
She's way up there.
She's trying to figure out how to come down right now. Nope, as long as she's still circling, like now you could be like, you know, good girl.
Good girl, Winnie!
Give her a call there. Up, see she turned. Jinx called her in.
Jinx called her in, yeah.
Winnie!
So Reagan, I'm gonna have you walk forward about 30 feet. It's gonna give you a better position for wind. So stay up on the ridge. Winnie!
Come on, Winnie.
It's all right.
She's getting lower.
So you guys all notice the direction of the wind?
Yeah,
And what direction is she going?
Upwind.
Straight into it, right?
She's not allowing herself to get pushed. Dave, you want to look on the GPS?
There she is. There she is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
GPS isn't hooked up.
Come on, Winnie! Yeah, holy crap, she's the tiniest little dot.
Did GPS hook up or not?
I lost eyes.
You got GPS.
I'm just pulling in front of onto the road.
All right, keep going. We'll tell you when to stop.
Can one of you, without spooking the bird, wave your arms?
We are waving our arms.
Okay.
I see him, I see him.
You see him?
Right up there, stop.
Okay, Capri says she sees you.
Where? You got good eyes.
I saw them when they were driving.
You don't see them anymore?
Oh, I see. I just lost them.
No, I don't need them.
Eagle eyes.
Yeah, if you do that, you'll be stuck if you come down to that next cliff. And the plan right now is Brad's gonna park kind of the base of the wash. We'll all kind of meander that way. We'll probably take the four-wheeler and see if we can find a better route, but getting them down from that terrain is the next challenge.
Right. Oh, you see him.
Oh, there's the bird.
There she is.
Her crate is in our car, right? Was that? That's funny. He said, we ready to do Talullah now.
Oh my gosh. Good line, good line. Jinxie, what do you think?
I know what I would have done differently.
I would have made the diet better, like from the start, because we kept putting it off until our first
Yeah.
like free flight trip.
Same thing. I think the thing I would have changed from the start is following every little thing the trainer's telling you. I wish I had done that earlier, because once we changed the diet, like Reagan said, it changed everything. I mean, even Winnie's like kind of angry behavior got better. Like there's just the personality improved. It wasn't that they were just angry or hungry or something. They just behaved nicer. They looked happier. They were just better behaved. They were much more interested in training. They were much more interested in us. I think that was huge. I think that was the biggest mistake that I made at the very beginning. That and just following every single little direction that you were giving us to do and not thinking I could tweak a little thing or get away with something. I think that was probably the biggest mistake. The most rewarding part of all of the free flying, I guess, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it gives you something to do with the bird. You want to interact with your bird, and you just don't want it to be like just sitting in the room with you somewhere. And it actually was like, oh, here's what we're going to do today. So it gives you something to do with them. They actually enjoy it. I mean, they like actually get excited when they see the carriers come out to go fly. They're happy.
It did get difficult, but there's obviously like a way to do it, and if you put like effort into it and you take time trying to like figure out your bird, and it like really pays off. And also, like, if she wasn't like listening to me, it's okay to just like take a break too, because I think that like a lot of times with training, when she wouldn't listen to me, I'd just call her and be like, please just do it, and like it just doesn't work. And so definitely patience. I learned to be more patient. Winnie used to be obviously very like distracted and irritated with the GPS, but now like she's pretty fine with it. Sometimes she does mess with it, but it's not to the point where she like crushes it.
Is that working?
That's working now, yeah. It's not like the number 2 for
That's looking great, Rose. Cressy in Bandit's voice. Yeah, I know.
Looking at that thing today. I know. It's like so many days. They finally like.
Cressy's trying to help you out.
Would I fly without GPS? I'd prefer not to. Even if I don't rely on it for everything, it's really nice to have it there.
Definitely not after the last trip. That's definitely not something that I would do, especially with Winnie. So, or Talullah, because she does fly
Right,
away
she does.
sometimes. In most cases, trust your gut, but in this case, trust Dave.
Lauren's gonna love that.